So, taking a break from our regularly scheduled programming, I've been doing a lot of thinking about AI, and I'm throwing this out there live off the cuff. No prep time other than the Bible and the questions that I've already been kind of pondering or reflecting on when it comes to AI. Artificial intelligence seems to be a main discussion that a lot of people are having. You're seeing it in the church. I'm seeing it, on social media. Pastors talking about using it, preachers talking about using it, churches using it to write music. There's all sorts of use cases that AI is offering our world today, and it doesn't matter if it's in the church or outside of the church. But I personally, I am starting to have misgivings about it. I'm having thoughts about it that I'm just trying to navigate and figure out where I'm going to land on it personally. Now, full disclosure, I use AI for my business from time to time. I have it write little prompts for marketing pieces for land and stuff like that. Have it, give me checklists, and it's convenient. There's absolutely a convenience factor to AI. But the problematic side of it is something I'm trying to be cautious of. Not an alarmist, I'm not trying to ring the alarm bells and say the British are coming. But there's an element in which I'm trying to be observant and aware of it. And I'm curious, as I go through this, if you have any thoughts or questions about it, I'd be curious to see if what you think about it. But I was reading. I've been drawing this parallel between the story of the Tower of Babel and artificial intelligence. Genesis 11 says, "Now the whole earth." Actually, hold on. Let me do the little transition thing that I have the ability to do now. Let's see here. Bible Hub. Genesis chapter 11, if you're following along. Okay, I read the English Standard Version, so if you read a different version, that's totally fine. Let's see. Okay. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. Okay, so already we're seeing this creation of this tool, right? At one point in human history, as crazy as this may sound, bricks were new. The concept of a brick, of taking a created stone and putting it on top of another stone in order to make a structure, was a new thought. Someone had to come along and put the right ingredients together, I don't even know what bricks are made of. They put the right thing together and they made a brick, and that became a technology. And then they took this technology and built upon it, right? And for the last, I don't know, 100 years, since the 1940s, the Turing devices and computational devices, a computer was actually named after, if I'm not mistaken, a human being was called a computer. They were someone that was manually computing things. Since the 1940s, the technology we've had has taken off. I saw a picture the other day of a 5 megabyte structure. It weighed like, I don't know, 20 tons or something like that, being loaded into a truck, and it was 5 megabytes. My AirPods have more. My Apple Watch has more tech than that does. So, anyways, there's this new technology that was created, and it was called the brick. And we see here in Genesis where they made it. Okay, that was they made it of brick or for stone and bitumen for mortar. So stone and mortar. Then they said, so here's the progression. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of man had built. And the Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do." Man, that's new to me. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord dispersed them there over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore, its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused. I think that might be what the Hebrew word, Babel sounds like the Hebrew word for confused. There he confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord dispersed them over the face of the earth. So, a couple notes, a couple things to look at. So right here, they created this thing, they built upon this thing, and their goal was to achieve godness, right? Achieve reaching up to the heavens. One of the stated goals of AI is to eternalize the human experience, right? We're hearing more about Neuralinks and AI devices and creations that are for the sole purpose of extending or expanding or growing the human experience. You've been hearing for a while now the concept of downloading the human brain onto a computer chip so that it can live infinitely. It's getting strange, right? And as a follower of Jesus, I'm in the 21st century as much as you guys are, trying to navigate, okay, do I use it? Do I not use it? What do I think about it? How do I handle it? How do I manage it? It's something that we have to be working through and thinking of, okay? And like I said, I use it. I think it's a wonderful tool for study and for research to compare and contrast. One time I asked ChatGPT, I said, should I have a discussion with you or with someone with a PhD leveled understanding about this topic or that topic? And the basic response was something to the effect of, ChatGPT said, "I am as knowledgeable as pretty much every PhD leveled learner out there. I have access to an infinite amount of knowledge, almost infinite amount of knowledge. The only difference is I don't understand the depth or the connections, the sentimentality of it all." Really, that's a really interesting answer. And a lot of this has to do, from my research, and you might know better, you might know more, an AI software is what they call an LLM. It's a large language module, where basically, from my understanding, these engineers, these coders go in and they access insane amounts of books, of words, of sentences, of structures, of languages. And then they go in and they download all that data into these programs, and then they have it spit out answers, and then they correct it, spit out answers, correct it, for a very long time, until it starts to spit out more and more information that's cogent and aware and seemingly answering the right questions at the right times. Anyways, that's the nuts and bolts of it, which is not in and of itself bad. But I'm increasingly becoming cautious of it because of all the problems in society that I am starting to see happen. There's studies going on out there that the more often people utilize AI softwares, the less they begin to think critically of things. I don't know if you've ever read 1984 or Brave New World or any of those kinds of books, but you're starting to see the problems when humanity relies too much on technology. And I worry about this, not with humanity. People are going to do what people are going to do, but I worry about this in context of the church, of followers of Jesus. We cannot think that we are insusceptible. That's what I'm looking for. We can't think that we are not susceptible to the dangers of softwares, right? I mean, how many of us are on our phones more often than we should be? We know for a fact we should not be on this device as much as we are, and yet here we are. And so I wonder if there's a tech creep, technology creep happening in the church, where we are going to eventually allow AI to take over even more, or technology to take over even more than what it already has in our daily lives. So this is just something I'm thinking about. You might have an opinion, you might have a thought. I would be curious to know what your thought is when it comes to this discussion and when it comes to AI, and seeing if you see any biblical parallels. So I might have another discussion on this shortly. This was just a quick little blurb out there. Just wanted to throw something out. But I would be interested in seeing if anyone else has been thinking this direction. So have a good night. God bless.